Good morning and welcome to the June 10th special call meeting of the DeKalb Board of Registration and Elections. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask that the roll be read. Is Erin with us to read the roll? If not, I'll go ahead and do it.
I am not seeing her logged in at this time.
Okay. Let's remember the alphabet. Vice Chair Jester.
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Ms. Motter.
Here.
Dele Loman Smith is here. And Ms. Swift.
Here.
Okay, I guess I can declare that we have a quorum. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving today's agenda, please raise your right hand, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously. We can go ahead and start public comment.
And Miss Austin has joined us, so I assume she'll give us the verbiage.
Thank you. Public comment of 2 minutes or less may be made live via the teleconference. For those joining the meeting by telephone, please be aware that your phone number may be displayed to the public viewing or participating in the online meeting. Citizens who attend the meeting via Zoom link may join the public comment queue by raising their hand in the Zoom application, while citizens who attend the meeting via telephone may join the comment queue by pressing the pound followed by the number 2. There will be no comment card, so when you're called upon, please state your name for the record. Also, please be conscious of speaking time so that everyone has an opportunity to provide input in the allotted time. Abusive, profane, or derogatory language will not be permitted.
Thank you so much, Miss Austin. And just as a reminder, again, if you would like to make a public comment, please identify by using the raise hand feature or #2 if you are on a phone. Our first request is from Marcy McCarthy. I will ask Marcy to unmute. If she'd like to start her video, she may. And please state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, everybody. This is Marcy McCarthy. I reside at 2515 Brookline Circle at Brookhaven, Georgia. I always want to say Atlanta. Brookhaven, Georgia, 30319. I'm the chairman of the Republican Party of DeKalb County as well. Thanks for coming together this morning. We have certainly a runoff election ahead of us, and we're looking forward to a really great experience. But I did want to make mention of the Commissioner 2 race, which, did result in a very dramatic different ending with an uptick of over 3,200 new votes, a different outcome from election night. And I just want to make sure that we're not forgetting that, because while we have certified the election, which I want to commend the fact that you guys have done the hand count, there's a lot of unanswered questions as why we had a different set of results on May 24th as to what we got on June 3rd. So it does give us a great pause to really make sure that we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's across the board and understanding what actually happened. And I'm hopeful that we will get a written explanation why a withdrawn candidate appeared actually on the ballot image on the website as a sample ballot with a cross out and a withdrawn, all the way to getting several, 130 some votes overall. And like I said, a different outcome. So I'm concerned going into this next election, which is a runoff, as well as the November elections. We've got to figure out how this happened so that, again, it never will happen again. So many people are not trusting the results of the race, any of the races right now, questioning the machine integrity versus a hand recount. So we've got to do better to restore fitness, faith, integrity, and trust in our elections. We need to have transparency and, an understanding of what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and overall make sure it never happens again. Thank you very much. I understand my time is up.
Okay.
And thank you so much for your comments. Our next request is from S. Colette Fricks. I will ask her to unmute. If she would like to start her video, she may. And please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Colette Fricks. I live at 3889 Paya Way, in unincorporated DeKalb, zip code 30340. And I just wanted to say two things. First is, like the first speaker, I would like to know what happened in District 2, mainly so that we know it doesn't happen going forward. And frankly, out of curiosity. And I also wanted to say that my experience of voting at the Kofor Library was a real pleasure. And I noticed there was I really appreciate there was a police officer in the building looking into the polling area, the voting area. And there was also a police officer in his car outside, which made me feel very safe after hearing all the hubbub on the national news and this happening here and this happening there. So I want to thank you for that. And just thank you for the enjoyable voting experience that I did have. There were no lines and it was very pleasant. Thank you. Oh, it was the last day of early voting. Thank you.
Very well. And thank you so much for your comments. At this time, Madam Chair, that seems to exhaust the request for public comment.
Okay, thank you. First item under items for decision, emergency polling place changes. And Ms. Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. As you may recall, during our previous meeting, we mentioned 3 polling location changes that were going to be made for Election Day. We were able to identify 3 temporary sites for the June 21st runoff. And for Clarkston Community Center, we will have serve, and we're proposing Clarkston Library. Cohen Recreation Center was not available for the runoff. And so we did make contact and received confirmation from Israel Missionary Baptist Church for that day. And then Tucker Precinct is going to temporarily be hosted by Tucker High School for the runoff. And so those are the 3 emergency polling place changes that we are proposing. We have posted the announcement in the legal organ, and we are working with our PR profile partners to ensure that marketing collateral is produced and disseminated as well.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Smith? Ms. Motter, you're recognized.
Yeah, it's not so much a question, but a request so that the public understands what our procedures are in terms of notifying the public. Ms. Smith indicated that our legal organ will have the appropriate notice in that. Just for the folks watching, our legal organ is the champion. But I also want to ask that our director indicate the other places that we will be letting the public know with respect to these changes. For example, are we going to have signage directing folks to the right precincts? The other thing, are we going to have a notice by mail to the affected voters? And then finally, updating our website to have an indication regarding these polling place changes. Just basically trying to let the public know in this meeting where all of the notices are going to be. Thank you. That's all.
Ms. Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you. All of those things are being worked on right now. So yes, we are printing information for the impacted voters so that they will know via mail. It will be posted on our website. And Erik Burton is on. I don't want to put him on the spot, but I believe that we have signage that's being prepared as well that will be posted at the location, the original location, as well as directing them to information, directing them to the temporary polling place. If there's anything else to add, Erik or Aaron, feel free to chime in.
I presume that the signage that we provided for Election Day will be the template for directing people to their new polling places. So I saw Mr. Burton come on. Would you like to be recognized and address that?
Yeah, I'll be real brief. Good morning, everybody. Yes, so we have to do the signage, 4x4 signs that go to all of the previous locations that will have the redirect message. We'll notify all voters that this is no longer a voting location. We also will issue a press release. In addition to it showing up in the legal organ as a notice, we also do information on press releases, as well as our social media and our stakeholder list. So we'll make sure that we touch as many points as possible to get that information out, in addition to what VRE is doing to contact those voters directly.
Thank you. Ms. Swift, you're recognized.
Thank you. I had a question, I guess, for Erik. Is it possible, or do we do any like radio spots, especially for, I mean, they're all big moves, but I know the Cohen one particularly is probably one of the few in the city of Atlanta, and that's been a polling location for many years. And so there may be confusion, especially, so there may be confusion, but we definitely will need to, after the runoff, make it clear that it'll probably go back to Cohen. So I guess I'm saying that, so could we do some radio ads for the runoff? And then we need to make sure that it's clear in November that it will likely be back at Cohen.
Yeah, we would have to check the budget to see if we have enough for radio. Radio is one of those things that hits a really broad audience. We typically have to use multiple radio stations to target different demographics. What we've
Erik, you went on
text
mute.
message. Okay, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Then I heard
Okay, yeah, what we tend to do are text message campaigns that can kind of be a little bit more targeted to areas. So we just are a little bit more mindful of budget and targeting key individuals. But we'll look at the budget and see what we can do to make sure those key and those impacted voters are notified.
Okay, and I mean, you are the expert here, and that's a good point about radio, but I would suggest that we look at text and then our social, because you can target geographically with social. And I think you also mentioned mail. So
yes,
for all the sites, but I just want us to remember that since these are temporary, we need to also think about our communication after this so people understand and don't get confused for the next race.
No, absolutely. And we do look at those pieces to kind of be a little comprehensive in nature. So we'll definitely keep that in mind as we move forward with the integrated campaign for sure.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. So we have established the new polling places. Are we ready for a motion? Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the emergency polling place changes, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye.
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 That passes unanimously. And Ms. Smith, you're recognized for item 3B on advanced voting locations.
Thank you. And so with the advanced voting locations, we're proposing the addition of a site in Atlanta, Neighborhood Church. We were contacted by one of our, Ms. Swift to request an additional site. And so we worked over the weekend and confirmed with Neighborhood Church that they were available on just this past Monday to serve as an advanced voting location beginning June 13th. And so this will bring our total to 11 advanced voting sites, including the 2 Memorial Drive sites that we have here.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Smith. And just for my colleagues' information, I'm having some delays with my internet since the storm the other night. So apologies if I seem a little off in terms of timing. Ms. Swift, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a little bit of context for the public and for the board for why I made the request that I made. So in our runoff locations, our early advanced voting locations for the runoff, because, well, we weren't able to do the weekend dates because of testing requirements, and we have Monday through Friday. When you look at the map, there really was not a location in City of Atlanta. So the normal location would have been Cohen or Bessie Brenham Park, but they were not Bessie Brenham, but they're not available. And although technically Emory is now City of Atlanta because it was annexed in, it really does not provide a sufficient location for City of Atlanta in DeKalb County residents where there is a actual runoff election happening. And so that is why the suggestion, that is why I made the request to add an additional location, and Neighborhood Church, which is also a polling precinct, is available in early vote. So I just wanted to give that context for the request.
Thank you, Ms. Swift. Any comments or questions on this, colleagues? Okay, can we, Ms. Swift, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, motion to approve the adding Neighborhood Church as an early advanced voting location for the June 21st runoff.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving Neighborhood Church as an additional early voting location, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye.
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 And that passes unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Phillips, are we in need of an executive session?
Yes, Madam Chair, we would like to have an executive session today.
For litigation.
That's right.
Can we get a motion to recess? It's been so long since we had an executive session. I forget the word. We have a motion and a second to recess for executive session. All in favor, signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
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 All right, as the board
That
moves.
passes unanimously, and we are in. Thank you. Let us get a motion to end executive session and resume the regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are back in regular session. There were no actions taken in executive session. And at this point, we can start board comments. I will start with, who did I start with last time? I'll start with Ms. Motter.
I'll be brief. I would like to thank Mr. Metelsky and Ms. Lewis, who manage our mini meetings, and a lot of them with very short timelines. And I don't think you guys get sufficient public credit for the work that you guys do and helping us do these meetings on such short notice. So I just want to give you all a shout out, and that concludes my statements. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Motter. Mr. Lewis, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say, for if there are members of the public still on the call with us, that we are just started our LNA testing for our voting equipment coming up in the primary, and that's open to the public. So people can always come down and take part in that and see what we do. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Ms. Swift, you're recognized.
Thanks so much. No comments today.
Okay.
Morning.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
I have no comments at this time. Thank you to all my colleagues, and always Mr. Metelsky and Ms. Lewis as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And ditto to that acknowledgement to our trusted and committed supporters and in hosting these never-ending meetings or succeeding number of meetings. I wanted to just correct for the record on a question or comment that was made earlier about there being 1,300 new votes in D2, and that there is an explanation that will be forthcoming that is being written for layperson in layperson language that will make it a little bit easier to understand that process. There were not new votes, and I think there has been some confusion as folks have expressed surprise in the change in outcomes. I personally, I don't understand why they're surprised. I think we stated the same night that the vote numbers were misallocated. And so that means that if the vote numbers were not all identical, that there was going to be a change in outcomes when they were allocated properly. And so that hand count was in order for us to get an accurate tally of those votes and who they actually belonged to. So we look forward to being able to provide that further explanation, and it will go out via the normal channels that we disseminate information. And with that, I'd like to thank my colleagues for the meeting, and as well as your responsiveness and flexibility to accommodate the sometimes short notice that we have to respond to. Can I get a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We stand adjourned.